welcome to another episode of the Bro Plata podcast, episode 12. Episode 12, reviewing one of the biggest fights in UFC heavyweight history, with obviously many things on the line. And I will say an ankle broke, a dream was dashed, and many other things happened at UFC 252. Cormier versus Miocic 3 for the heavyweight championship of the world. This was a fight. This was a night. And everybody, it was out of sight.
Oh, that needs to stop, Ray. Whatever you just did needs to stop. You know what else needs to stop? I mean, we watched this card, UFC 252. It was fantastic. Loved it, right? We're definitely going to get into it, obviously. Yes. They're getting a little outrageous with these this Twitter feed, man. They're throwing up there. You know, during the fights, they're throwing tweets from notable people. I use my air quotes, notable people.
I know.
Dude, I was watching an MMA fight. I enjoy MMA. I don't know if you guys know this or not. I enjoy myself a fight. I was watching two guys go at it. Then in the corner of my eye, I see a tweet from Paris Hilton.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
Why are you doing this to me? Like, one of my favorite things about fighting is that's the time I get to forget people like her exist. Right? And then you do this to me. Also, Jared Leto at some point. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
I like Jared Leto just fine, I guess.
The worst Joker.
We talked about him. Yeah, we talked about him before. Yeah, he was a terrible Joker. 30 Seconds to Mars is okay.
No.
I liked it. What?
No.
I like To Kill mostly. And I had that album. That album's good. When they were emo, back when they were emo, I liked them. The Kill's a great song. You don't think so? But then you're wrong, sir. You're just wrong.
To me, man, if you look at 30 Seconds to Mars, first of all, Jared Leto, the best thing he ever did was get his ass kicked in Fight Club. I will always say that is when he played Angel and you could take him down. Yes, I also played the video game, so I know his character's name. But like, I can't with Jared Leto. There's that. He's gonna be Dr. Morbius coming up soon.
Oh yeah.
In the Spider-Man extended universe, whatever they call it.
What is that? He's like a vampire man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
it's I can't remember the name, but the character's name is Morbius, and he's playing him in the new movie that they're gonna bring out about him. And again, he ruined the Joker. 30 Seconds to Mars would be good if they didn't have Jared Leto, because his voice, that just baby me, like
that was the thing, man. Do you not remember emo music, brother?
Yeah, and I was not.
You're of the age, man. You're of the age.
Not a fan
of emo altogether.
No, yeah, I was never an emo fan. I'm a juggalo, dude. Like,
I forgot.
I forgot
you only
below us.
You only listen to bands that wear heavy makeup and or masks. That's your thing.
Sort of, but then also, I mean, you get bands like
Mushroom Head and the Juggalos, ICP, right?
Gwar. I'm a big Gwar fan.
Lordy. We talked about Lordy the other day.
Lordy, yeah.
Lordy, who is hilarious.
I've
listened to a bunch of their music. They haven't changed. It's fantastic.
No, it's great. But like, I was also, even in like a high school 05-ish, 06-ish, I was like really deep into like Stained.
I like Stained.
A lot of classic metal and the classic heavy, like hard rock that you would hear on like 98.5 NCX in Cleveland or WONE down in Akron, Canton area. Like, that was most of my stuff. I thought that shit was for pussies, and I kind of still do. Like, there's that bully mentality, but it's because I know that they're just crying on the inside all the time. So why not just help?
The thing is, I was also crying on the inside, and still am most of the time. However, I don't just show it like that. You know, I could do a swoop. And I never wore the eye black or anything. Look at that. This is my emo face. What do you like? What do you think? Anyone watching?
Let me show the emo.
Yeah. Emo swoop. Gotta keep the swoop.
Oh my God. Oh, look at that sad man. Just, there's all the lit candles in a dark room with that hair right there. Like, that is
maybe. But the thing is, like, when I have out of my face. Does this look not already scream sadness? Like, I haven't cut my hair in 4 years. I haven't shaved my face in over a year.
There were some bands, man. There were some bands that I liked
Yeah, it's catchy stuff, man. It was like, it's kind of like hard rock slash pop slash I like some of it, not all of it, but I liked a lot of it.
Cute Is What We Aim For. I liked that band. They had the Curse of Curves song. That was a good one.
Of course you like that song.
Yes, I do. And and I'm single, ladies. So that's always a good time. No skinny girls will ever message me. So I know where I'm at in life. It's cool. But
but it works out for you because you're also into that, right?
Yeah. Me, I like Gina Carano. Like my ideal girl is Gina Carano in Deadpool 1. Like that level of thickness.
Yeah, man. What happened to her, man? She used to be like a bantamweight, right? And now she's always like 185 at 190, and Deadpool she's a tank.
Yeah, I was about to say she looks great for
she's still hot. It's just two completely different kinds of hot.
Oh yeah, and to me, she's out of any MMA. Like you want to talk about the hottest MMA pioneer in female MMA. She was the dime piece of dime pieces. If you think Ronda was above her in looks, you're an idiot. You're a moron person watching this.
I don't disagree with you.
She was the hottest one. She was the one that kind of got me into Strikeforce. Like I knew she was on there, and I was like, "Who's this Gina Carano chick?" And then it's like, "Oh, this chick is really fucking good at what she does. She can smash."
And then she fought Cyborg when she was juiced to the gills.
Yeah. She fought Roydborg. That's right.
Yeah,
I forgot.
Right. Yeah, it didn't go great for her, but she fought tough though. She took some, let's say, manpower type haymakers to the face and kept going.
Oh yeah, I mean that fight. I didn't want to watch that fight, and then I watched the highlights, and I was like, "Thank God I watched the highlights." It's like watching my hot girlfriend get beat at a bar by the chick that just got denied for the 18th time in an hour. That's never a good time, man. Bitch was pissed.
Which you would do. I could see that. You can see like, hey, aren't you going to have your girlfriend out? She got it.
Yeah, she's fine. Mm-hmm. She's fine. She expects me to do the same thing. I expect her to do the same thing. Just walk away. Just Lord Humongous the whole thing. Just walk away. Leave the boyfriend on the floor and walk away. You will be let go freely.
All right.
Nothing. The Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, the Ayatollah, or not Beyond Thunderdome. That was before before it was Mad Max, where it was basically the Lord Humongous, the Ayatollah of rock and rolla. Like that, I love it. It's one of my favorite movie quotes ever. Is the Ayatollah of rock and rolla, the Lord Humongous. You've never seen Mad? Have you ever seen Mad Max? Okay.
Yes.
It's an awesome thing when he's just like, walk away. And his jaw.
It's been a while, though. It's on some streaming service. I forget which one. I've been meaning to watch it.
I saw it recently that it's on some streaming service. I can't remember. If you know what it is, comments down below.
It's one of the ones I have, I think. So I'm going to watch that pretty soon, actually. I've been trying to get to it, meaning to get to it. Speaking of things to get to.
Yes.
How about this fight card, man? Let's not bury the lead. Let's not bury the lead, dude. Let's just talk about the main event because that's what we want to talk about.
Yes.
Anyway.
I mean, I honestly think that this can be the entire episode. If you really look at how amazing those 5 rounds were between Stipe Miocic and Daniel Cormier. Stipe Miocic outlasting and outpointing, which he should have. I honestly, this was a safe bet for Stipe. To get to regain the title and show that he is the GOAT. Like, we actually legitimately finally can put to rest the GOAT thing in the heavyweight division in MMA for right now, because we actually have an established guy. Like, there is no others. There will be no before him, no after for a little while. I don't think we're going to see a guy like Stipe Miocic who is that just can you just say on? I mean, that's all he really was. He just destroyed Daniel Cormier.
Sure, you can say that. And he didn't just outpoint him. I mean, even in the 5th round, he was throwing bombs, man.
Yeah.
He hit DC a lot. Like that, I'm surprised they both survived that fight, to be honest with you, man. DC almost didn't in the second round, but
yeah.
And man, that was a great fight. And the fact that he came back and after the third round and had a good round, I still think Stipe had 4 of those 5 rounds. One judge had it 2 rounds for Cormier, but the fact that he even had a good 4th round after that eye poke,
yeah,
fantastic.
It was so, and I want to ask you, like, when that fight started, obviously we had a great card of fights. You know, it's Sean O'Malley and everybody. We had Sean O'Malley get injured again. This time he didn't win though, because the guy didn't go to the ground like a smart man. But you look at like, what was the vibe? You watched it in Columbus, yeah? You watched the fights from there.
Yeah.
What was the vibe like when you guys like got ready for the heavyweight fight?
Well, the 2 other people I was watching it with went to get Taco Bell right before the Rosenstrike to Santos fight. So I was watching it by myself. They came back right before the main event. So they didn't really care too much. But I did. And they were yelling at each other about something else while the fight was going on. I wasn't paying attention to them. I was watching the fight. But me personally, dude, I've been so pumped for this fight forever, man.
Yeah.
So, I was pumped up. It was great. And the whole time I'm like at the edge of my seat because like I've said in the past, this is one of the fighters, Stipe is one of the fighters that I really pull for a lot, obviously. Yeah. So I don't want him to lose. Some other fights, I just want to see a good fight. Stipe, I want him to win, obviously. Yeah. So, I was on the edge of my seat. And when he rocked Stipe, DC rocked Stipe in the first round. I was a little nervous there. And he hit him a couple times with a shot that looked a lot like the shot he knocked him out with in the first fight.
Yeah.
Hit him with a couple of those, break out of the clinch and that big overhand right, hit him on the left side of his face. A couple of those, man. And but he ate him.
And I was amazed.
Damn, Stipe looked good though.
Yeah, I was about to say Stipe's toughness was on display. I do feel bad for the people that I was watching it with because I just kept like I was a little bit intoxicated, like you do. And every throw that DC had that connected, I would just be going, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. That's not good. Don't do that. Don't. No. And it was so like, it was awesome just to like, I know I was annoying my friend's dad. Like he even told me, would you shut the fuck up? And I'm like, nah, I'll be this loud asshole for the rest of the fight. Why? Because I'm fun. That's why. Everyone loves me.
A lot of times when I'm watching a fight that I'm really invested in, a lot of the times, like I'm pretty sure I don't really say words as much as I just make varying levels of different noises.
Yeah.
Like, that's exactly how I watch fights.
Yeah, I'm like, man, when I'm watching a good fight, I'm like Bugs Bunny, and every time we go like, ee, ah, ooh, like, because you have to, man. If you're not really passionate, like some of the fights on Saturday, I could have gave a fuck less. Like it was, I just wanted to watch like the 3 main events because they had like, and the Herbert Burns fight was good as well. Herbert Burns won as well. No, he lost. Yeah, he lost. Yeah. Never mind.
Daniel Pineda looked like a beast. He looked awesome.
But no, yeah, even though he lost, it was still good to see Herbert back in the octagon. But like you could
miss weight.
It. Yeah, that was another big downfall.
He got beat, so boom.
Yes.
That's what you get.
Justice served. But at the same time, it's one of those things where you look at like Stipe Miocic or you felt the vibe at the house that we were at, just completely. Once those 2 entered like the Apex Center in Las Vegas, you could tell even at the house that we were at, the vibe had changed into this like, oh my God, it's time. And I lost my train of thought there for a second. But yeah, I mean, Stipe definitely kept his bend to the bargain. I mean, he really did. I was amazed at also the control time that Stipe had against the cage.
Yeah.
Like pushing DC up against the cage. That was
a really big deal. Yeah. He did a great job of controlling those clinches. And when DC had him against the fence, he turned him around a lot, right? And he got the best of those clinch exchanges.
Yeah. He definitely had that he had those moments you want against an Olympic level wrestler, and kind of shows, that leverage is everything. And when you can use a big 6'4" monster
Right.
like Stipe is against a guy in Cormier who I think is my height, like he's 5'11".
Yeah, he's like 5'11". Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like why I love the one meme that somebody had Stipe's arm around Daniel Cormier's like against Daniel Cormier's throat, and it's like you're probably wondering how I ended up here. And you're just like, yes, it looks like the opening to a dramatically awful movie where you're just like, oh no, where's the party been? I don't like it's. You look at and DC again. You can't really say anything bad about DC in this fight.
No, of
He
course
had
not.
some moments of sheer brilliance that was nice to see out of him coming off of that knockout loss to Miocic in the second match. So it was kind of wild to watch, man.
Right. Man, watching Stipe, I mean, it shouldn't surprise us at this point. Like, we've seen this guy fight for so long. We're like, wow, he looked fantastic. He's a really great fighter. He's always looked fantastic against great fighters. Like, is there any surprise? Is anyone surprised at all about how good this guy is? No, it shouldn't be. Any surprise to anyone. But one thing that was great was Stipe not giving him the takedown. Cormier got a takedown early, but we do forget that, I mean, Stipe knows how to wrestle too, and he's a really smart, really great fighter. So he's not going to give him those obvious chances to take him down. No. He only gave him one chance. Yeah. Cormier said, he's like, he only gave me one shot, and I took it, and I was able to get the high cross takedown. That was the only time, right? Stipe knows. He knows what to do and what not to do against somebody, especially someone that can wrestle like DC.
Yeah. What did you think? I love it was kind of funny. Early in the first round, Stipe started rocketing off some body shots, which was completely out of what I think was kind of funny for DC, saying he'll only do it once. Once that first round came, like I think it was mid first round, he started to fire off some, and you're like, oh, well, the game plan is now out the door because he got a few in, didn't he,
well,
DC?
Yeah, because that's what happened in the second fight. With that fourth round, he hit him with like 16 body shots that fourth round. Yeah, before he finished the fight. Yeah, and DC said that wasn't going to happen again. Well, there weren't as many hooks, but there was a lot of like straight belly jabs, which are funny when you see a guy with a gut like a DC, right? You see a guy get punched straight in the belly button.
Looks like a cannonball is hitting him, and he's going into like the background or something.
Right. It looks like a helicopter's landing on a pond or something. Like just ripples of the water. Yeah.
I would love to see the slow motion of that, like just the slow motion of every.
They used to do it to Roy Nelson every fight. Yeah. Anytime he would get touched in the gut, they show a slow motion shot of him just get hit in the gut. I'm like, this shot meant nothing, but they're just showing it because it's hilarious.
Benny Hill music playing in the background.
Yeah.
What was really kind of like telling for me, I picked Stipe to win this fight on Friday.
So did I.
Actually, no, Thursday during the press conference, the pre-fight press conference. Cormier was all talking. He was doing his normal thing. And I honestly, at this point, I've watched enough MMA, like, what do you call it? Press conferences to understand body language of a fighter, just because you can kind of, Rogan pointed this out years ago. You can see it in their eyes. You can kind of see where they're moving. You kind of see where their face is at, how pale they look. And you can kind of pick the fights based off of that alone in the press conference. Sometimes it can be off. Sometimes it can just be a really bad weight cut for the fighter. Obviously, I'm not saying it works every time. I would say it works less than Sex Panther for sure, probably in the 40 percentile. But like, you look at how it is, you see. I looked at Daniel Cormier and I saw a guy who was kind of herky jerky when he went to do the stare down. He was sort of fidgety. His eyes were moving back and forth, and then it just immediately he just looked down like he knew he was fucked. I don't know what it was, but I picked that up, and he was just. DC came out, in the third round a little bit better, or fourth and fifth round, really hitting and trying to be in there and make sure his cardio was going to take him to the fifth round. But I just didn't see a lot of output from DC that made any kind of significant damage, really, mentally or physically on Stipe, except for those later rounds. First two were all Stipe. Would you agree?
First two rounds?
First two?
No, DC had the first round for sure.
Really? I had it 2-0 for Stipe going into that.
Honestly,
third round.
I think every single judge gave him the first round.
Yeah. I don't
and
know,
me.
man.
Well, you weren't watching the same fight I was.
I was also really messed up. So,
okay.
So I remember what
the first round seemed pretty obvious for DC to me. I mean, it was a close round, but it seemed like you definitely give it to DC. DC looked pretty good in the second two until Stipe caught him and almost finished him.
Yes.
After that, then the third round happens. And the third round is when Stipe says, "You my bitch, DC. I'm Stipe. I'm the champ. This is how things work." And that was almost a 10-8 round.
Yes.
I mean, it's pretty darn close. I think if that wasn't a title fight, maybe somebody would have gave him a 10-8 for that.
That would have been a 10-8 if it wouldn't have been for the title. I agree with you on that.
Yeah. And
especially knocking him down that late in the round.
Right. The third round, you see DC's eye getting beat up. He's taking a lot of shots to that left eye before the eye poke. Then the eye poke happens. That's the problem. And it's unfortunate. Okay, so Mark Goddard missed it, right?
Yeah.
And we looked in the replay, and he obviously did get poked. That's unfortunate, right?
Yes.
We both talked about this before. We've both refereed or umpired sports before. And Mark Goddard said it afterwards. He said, "I did miss it, but I can't call anything
that I don't see."
Yeah, and that sucks because I've had that before in baseball too. One example is I had a game I was behind the plate, but I was by myself. I didn't have another umpire with me. Okay. And there was a ball that people were saying that it hit the batter's foot. It went off his bat, hit his foot, which would have been a foul ball. And it rolled to the pitcher. Pitcher picked it up, threw him out. The catcher was in front of me. I didn't see the ball hit the kid's foot. Everybody else on the field, if it did, would have saw it, but I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, man.
And the kid kind of like shook his foot off, but I didn't see it, so I couldn't call it, right? And the coach, I still remember this. Not many things that coaches say stick with me or bother me, but this did, only because he said a good umpire would have saw that he was limping and would have known that it hit his foot. I'm like, really? I'm like, a good umpire wouldn't call a fucking thing he didn't see, you dick.
Yeah.
But that always pissed me off. Still does to this day. So I don't blame Mark Goddard for that. Shit happens. He's a good ref. We see every ref, even the best refs, him, Dean Mergliata, Herzog, they all miss shit.
Yeah.
And they're the best. And they still miss shit.
I mean, outside of like pro wrestling referees, you can't, it's one of those things where it's not on purpose at all. Like you can't, anybody that ever like gets on judges for stuff they can't like control, especially when you got guys going like this every 5 fucking seconds trying to feel out distance, it's gonna happen. It's a thing. It sucks when it does, and I wish it didn't. But at the same time, you can't get pissed off at a referee for a dude's in a scrum. Like it's all gonna happen. It'd be like somebody saying in rugby that they should really like get close into the actual like scrum itself for the ball, like their head is the fucking ball, just to make sure somebody doesn't knee somebody in the chin. Like it's gonna happen, right. You know?
Right. What's kind of funny is DC, maybe not funny, but DC's like the king of eye pokes, man. He eye pokes people constantly. He's poked Stipe in both fights.
Yeah.
Right? And he poked him in the first round.
Yeah.
So the fact that he gets one, you're kind of like, you don't feel too bad for him because he does everybody else. It does suck that he didn't catch it. Yeah. And it does suck that if he has a permanent injury to that, which I haven't heard anything.
And didn't DC like scrape Stipe's eye as well?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like they traded.
The reason this fight took so long was because Stipe had an issue with his eye.
Yeah.
Yeah. From the poke. So I mean, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate part of the sport. But I don't think I can't take anything away from Stipe. I don't. I mean, you can't say, "Oh, the eye poke." Dude, no. Number one, his eye was getting swollen shut before that happened. Yeah. They didn't get the eye poke, and it didn't help. And it would have been nice if Goddard, would have saw it, would have given him some time, whatever. But it didn't happen that way. But this what Stipe was winning the fight. Like we said, he just had the most dominant round of the fight.
Yes, right?
And
for sure.
After that, Cormier had one of his better rounds.
Yeah. So, These guys showed why they were the best in the game at 265 pounds. And to have, I mean, that eye poke does suck, but it's, again, as you said, that eye was getting swelled shut right after that second round to begin with. And I love that second round ending because I think I blew out my friend's dad's ear after that, and I thought it was over because Goddard stepped in.
Right.
And I'm like, is it over? And I'm like, yeah. And I felt bad for him because he was like right here. And I just yell at the top of my lungs. I think it's over. And especially after nice combinations, really, Stipe with that hook, with that right hook, was deadly on that shot. Like, holy Christ. That came from the basement.
And DC's defense after he got dropped in the second round, before the end of the round, was just hang on for dear life.
Yeah.
He just grabbed him and put his face as close to him as possible and waited for that horn. And it worked. I mean, luckily he didn't have another 10 seconds or else he most likely would have finished the fight.
Oh, yeah. 10 to 15 more seconds. Mark Goddard is not making that.
And even 5, man. I mean, he was almost done.
I mean, I was hoping they would have stopped right there. I really kind of wish they would have done that and made it kind of work that way where it's, come on, man, like, stop the fight. He's like out, especially when DC was kind of like this and moving against the cage. He had no idea where he was because that just, if his lights got knocked out. I can speak today, everybody. Woohoo!
It's okay. Even when you stumble a bit, I usually stumble 10 times more on my words, so something I do all the time. Anyway, no, but they didn't finish it in the second round, but we got 3 great rounds after that. So so I'm not going to be, but you know what? This is really how this fight should have happened, right?
Yeah.
Should have ended because the first one, DC knocked him out. Second one, Stipe knocks him out. The 2 best heavyweights in the history of this sport right together, or at very least the UFC, possibly the sport, going together in the third time, and they had this epic 5-round fight where both guys take giant shots and neither of them will go down. That's probably what should have happened. And it was amazing. It was perfect.
It was exactly what
it's all we wanted. It's what we wanted.
Fuck yeah. If like anybody was upset with the actual fight or the fight night, you need to just ask for your money back and never watch another UFC ever again. Like they should be paid never to be allowed to buy the pay-per-view, let alone watch it. If you didn't think that was, I even said it, man. That's one of the best heavyweight fights in at least the last decade to me, because it's the fact that these guys had a trilogy, which doesn't really happen in the UFC that often.
It happened with Velasquez and JDS, but this was a much bigger deal.
Yeah, but that was years ago. Like we haven't had that was what, maybe I'm gonna say what year was that?
I don't know. I know the first fight was the first Fox card. So that was a long time ago. Maybe 2012, maybe.
Yeah, so it's been over 5 years since we've really had like 2 guys in the heavyweight division. And the real cool thing about this is, and it goes to what we've said on the podcast before, which is the idea of like heavyweights, older dudes going at it, not in their 20s or 20s, but they're definitely, savage dudes at heavyweight. And Stipe, I mean, again, what do you want to say about Stipe Miocic that hasn't already been said? He's just a lunatic out there when he fights. It's nuts to watch that guy who's a former Golden Gloves boxer too,
right?
Go at an Olympic wrestler and just outwit him. I was amazed that Stipe has been able to do that in his career. He's been able to take the biggest, the baddest, the most hardcore fucks on the planet and reduce them to children in his wake. It's
everyone,
awesome.
Everybody.
And
even Ngannou.
Yeah.
And Ngannou was a big child. Right.
Yeah.
He's wrestling a big strong child, but yeah, he still did that to him too.
And Ngannou, I mean, they're saying he's already the, prince in waiting here.
Yeah.
To kind of take the throne if he can beat Stipe. I don't think he can beat Stipe. I really don't.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Before we get to that, I want to talk. Last thing about the fight I wanted to talk about was the 5th round.
Yes.
5th round. Because on a lot of scorecards, which we've heard after the fight and from whatever reason that Twitter feed we get everyone's unofficial scorecards in that Twitter feed for whatever reason. A lot of people had that 2-2 going in the 5th round.
Yeah.
2 judges, I think, had it 3-1, and I had it 3-1, but one judge had it 2-2. But a lot of people, Dana White said he had it 2-2. So if Stipe doesn't have a good 5th round, we're sitting here being like, did they get it right?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, for sure.
So it's a big deal. He would have. It seems like he would have won the fight anyway, but people would have been like, it was a close decision, But he did a great job. That was the round he really put his body on him.
Yes,
and against the cage.
That 5th round for Stipe, like I would say it would have been either 3-1 or 2-2 going into it. I would have lent on the side of 3-1 for Stipe, but at the same, because again, biased is me. I mean, I'm possibly picking Jan Blachowicz because he's Polish to be the next light heavyweight champion. But that's just
now.
What?
It may happen now.
I know.
That was the next thing I was going to get into.
But I mean, Stipe in that 5th round, he kind of showed, and no pun intended, he showed that Cleveland grit. He showed that, toughness that a lot of people, sometimes it can be stupid toughness for some people, but Stipe always can get it in there and make it look really sexy to just be a savage. And when he got DC up against the cage during that time, I was hesitant because it's DC in the clinch. He can be a very, deceptive guy. But when Stipe just put his arm on the forearm right on his throat, you're like, yep, this is all going Cleveland's way.
At that point, he's been doing that the whole fight too. So
yeah.
He just continued doing what he was doing the whole fight. But yeah, he was awesome. He looked fantastic. He's the GOAT.
Yes.
For sure.
Anybody says different, you're wrong.
Now what's next? That's the interesting thing.
Well, Dana's already said it's Ngannou.
Yeah. I mean, you know what's weird? This goes back to what we were talking about a while ago when we were talking about maybe Cody Garbrandt moving to flyweight. Like, are they going to give him this chance right away, him not fighting at flyweight before, or are they going to give it to whoever's next in the flyweight division? And I said they've done both, so I don't really know. Well, this is an example of them doing both, right? Because they gave Cody that title shot in November, and John Jones says he wants to go to heavyweight, and Dana White's like, no, we got somebody, right? Now, you could say, okay, there's a very, very clear number one contender in the heavyweight division. At heavyweight, it's Francis Ngannou, very obviously. And flyweight, there would have been a guy, but there wasn't. They would have given it to somebody, but there wasn't a very clear number one, I don't think. I mean, I'm sure if you ask the flyweights,
in the flyweights, not really, since Mighty Mouse has left. There's not really.
I don't know who was like the number 2 guy after Benavidez. But I'm sure whoever that is would say, hey, I should get the next shot, whatever. But there wasn't a guy who had a Ngannou-type run.
No.
And not only that, but ever since Ngannou lost to Stipe, then that terrible fight against Derek Lewis, he's knocked out everybody in the first round. The longest fight he's had in that winning streak was a minute 11.
Okay. I understand where you're going, but again, I don't see him. He still doesn't have that heavy or championship skill level, in my opinion.
Well, I think
knockout power, but does that really help in mixed martial arts compared to boxing?
Stipe is older than before. So is Ngannou.
Yeah.
But Ngannou's probably got some more skill. And also, Stipe's taken more punches since then.
Yeah.
Some of them were from him. But his chin looked great in the last fight. I still think Stipe can win this fight, but it's going to be close. I mean, Ngannou's going to be better than he was before, for sure. I mean, he's a spin. My point wasn't really if he was going to win or not. It was mostly should he get the next shot over John Jones? And I think probably, Although what happened yesterday, the big news is that John Jones vacated his light heavyweight title.
Yes.
Which is crazy.
Well, I mean, he walks away the king. That's the thing. Like
that division. Yeah, you're right.
He walks away being the only real, besides Matt something. What was the guy's name? Elbows.
Hamill.
Yeah, Matt Hamill. The Matt Hamill fight, which I think the MMA community has all agreed that basically.
He was winning the fight by a lot. It was silly. Yeah.
It's basically Matt got lucky. Is all that was like, and
I'll tell you that.
I look at the heavyweight division or light heavyweight division, and the fact that now that there's going to be a vacuum in this, there's going to be a power vacuum in the light heavyweight division we haven't felt since John Jones took the belt. This is
right.
we're going back to Mauricio Shogun Hua days, where it's like anybody can be light heavyweight champion now. This is not going to, I see honestly a dip in popularity in the UFC heavyweight or light heavyweight division because John Jones is not in there. And also the fact that a lot of guys, there's not that many good top John Jones level, at least heavy or light heavyweight. So the belt's going to change a lot.
There's
The
only
belt will change a lot.
one John Jones level guy. That's John Jones. He's the only one.
Yeah.
And a division would lose a lot of popularity if they lost a John Jones, no matter which division it was. If any division lost their best fighter, they'd be less popular division by a bit. But there's some tough guys there. I think probably the next fight is Blachowicz and Reyes, right? Probably.
Yes, it's they're saying Jan Blachowicz versus Dominic Reyes for the light heavyweight title.
That will be a good fight. I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, I
think Reyes won his last fight against Jones, so
a lot of people do. I went with the decision itself and was okay with it just because of how close of a fight that was against Dominic Reyes. That third round is always going to be, questioned, but it's, again, what are you going to do? It happened, and Dominic Reyes now gets a shot for the title, as he should. He should have got a rematch against John Jones. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think he's possibly going to get that anyway. Blachowicz, his last fight was against Corey Anderson, who he knocked out as an underdog.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Corey Anderson would be in that mix now too, but he just left for Bellator.
Yeah. So, again, they're starting to lose. They're going to have to get new guys in the light heavyweight division. And like I said, there's going to be parity. There's going to be a lot of parity where it's going to be belts changing at least once a year. I can definitely see new guys coming in fighting.
That's what the heavyweight division was forever.
Yeah.
Until Stipe came along.
Yeah. And now and John Jones, light heavyweight, it was always something until it was always different guys. Mauricio or Shogun had it for a while. I think Minotauro was like an interim champion at one point. And you got to kind of look at when a guy leaves a championship division like that. I mean, look at heavyweight boxing. The only reason heavyweight boxing is big right now is because of the fact that the guy who left with the titles all those years ago is back now, and he's trying to gain all of them back in Tyson Fury. So they're getting heavyweight interest back. But you're going to lose interest in the light heavyweight division. But I will say this, the heavyweight division, if John Jones goes up there, there's no other way you can do that. That division just became probably the number one single sport division in all of sports, because you have Stipe, because you have Francis, you have Gustafsson, and then John Jones coming up is the big X factor in that whole thing.
But those three guys, right? Stipe, John Jones, Ngannou, those three guys, man, you compare those with what boxing has, with Fury, Wilder, Joshua.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly what it is.
That's a push to me. But the point is, heavyweight division of combat sports is about as high as it's ever been. Yeah. And it's been pretty high before. Pretty high. But it's up there, man. It's up there with some of the best times it's had.
Well, and I mean, we have more, and that's the nice part is combat sports. You have more access to those sports now, like kickboxing, like jiu-jitsu. Boxing again. Boxing is on pretty much every day again, which is awesome. They've got a lot of stuff coming out for PBC that I've been seeing that I'm really excited to go watch after the fact. But like heavyweight, this is the first time in our society where we've had two major sports that are combat sports where the highest division you can be is the hottest. And that when you look at and that's the nice part, is because when that happens, it's like Reaganomics. It just like trickles down. I don't, not to get political, but it is. The popularity becomes, and it sort of melds down, because if you're interested in heavyweights kicking the shit out of each other, oh wait, here's a super cruiserweight match, or here's a super bantamweight, or let's put Gennady Golovkin on the under part of the undercard. You get those things where it's going to get everybody's profile goes up because of the fact that the heavyweights are the hottest thing in the company. So it's always a fun time. And I like to see this now, since it's almost like the 20s again, where boxing and MMA, or the boxing and street fighting, are becoming the thing to do.
Boxing doesn't stack cards, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You talked about what you put somebody else, a big name on a big card. They don't do that. Like they'll put when Fury fights Joshua, right? The rest of that card's going to be scrubs. It always is.
Well,
right?
I mean, you have what's his name? The training partner of Tyson Fury. I can't remember his name right now. He's not.
Well, that's my point, Ray. You can't remember his name.
Johnny something, I think.
Right, okay, he's a good fighter, but you can't remember his name. That's my point.
Yeah, good point. Although I'm bad with names, so.
Well, the UFC, they do that, right? They do stack cards. They have multiple title fights in the card. What I'm wondering now is if they give this title shot to Ngannou, are they going to make John wait all this time? Or I should say, does John want to wait all this time and hope that he gets the next shot when there's guys like Lewis and Blades? If they fight each other, that'd be like the next title eliminator, right?
Yeah.
So do they say, hey, John, you got to fight one of these guys? I hope so, because I want to see him fight Derek Lewis.
I was actually about to say, give him a couple fight, just introductory heavyweight fights.
One will be enough.
One or max two, just max two, depending on if he does beat a Derek Lewis in a 3-rounder and is able to outpoint him.
It won't be a 3-rounder. It would be a 5-rounder because they're not going to not main event John Jones.
Yeah, I was about to say, but you know what I mean.
That'd probably still be a pay-per-view without a chance.
Yeah, it would definitely be. I could definitely see that being an under, or even like a co-main. I could see that the co-main being John Jones.
They won't put John Jones in a co-main. I don't think so.
Well, I would definitely do it just because you get 3 rounds at heavyweight in a new. If I'm his management, I'm definitely doing it because at least that way we can see if the extra weight on top helps or hinders it. Man, that's a big factor coming into it. I mean,
my point is I don't think that the UFC, even John Jones or his people will be like, okay, make me not a main event, maybe a co-main event. I don't think that's going to happen.
You never know.
But like I said, John Jones not fighting for a title would still be a main event pay-per-view event. So, yeah.
Would it though in the heavyweight division? Because you would probably get the casual.
The only person who's able to do that before this is Conor. So, and John Jones is the only other one who could do it. Yeah, John Jones and Conor McGregor are the two who can pull that off.
I even look at it from a marketing standpoint. Why not have that where it's like we're gonna give you 2 fights at heavyweight, co-main, but hey, co-main, but you're getting paid well.
Oh, it would be
here
great.
Are you guys.
No, if it was up to me, Raymond. The next card with heavyweights, the main event would be Stipe and Ngannou. Co-main event would be John Jones and either Blades or Lewis.
That would actually be a really good.
That'd be amazing. It's probably not going to happen. I will apologize to you if it does happen. So I was wrong, Raymond. You were right. However, I don't think it's going to happen. But man, that'd be awesome. It'd be a fantastic card. And then the rest of the card, you can just put me and Ray on it. You can put scrubs on it, and no one's going to care.
Call Barstool Sports. Have us on the fights.
Oh, yeah. By the way, Ray sent me a message the other day that says we should call Barstool Sports and get on their Tough Man contest.
Yes.
Rough and Rowdy, which is funny. If you haven't watched Rough and Rowdy,
Rough and Rowdy is hilarious.
It's hilarious. It's basically Barstool has kind of a similar vibe that kind of what we do a little bit. I don't watch all their stuff.
They do it way better with production value.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. No, they have money into it, and they do good. I do like Barstool.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of some of the stuff they do. But one of the really funny things they did is they bought a Tough Man contest on Rough and Rowdy, and they just had their guys, announce it, commentate it, and just
Bill
doing
Burr
it
was
the
on
way.
One of the last ones too.
They do it just the way they do things, and it's pretty hilarious. And it's a pretty outrageous Tough Man contest, and it's really funny. Watching people who are really good at fighting is fun. And watching people who are really bad at fight is also fun. And that's what Rough and Rowdy is. But Ray said to me, hey, we should get a hold of them and see if they'll let us fight our Rough and Rowdy. Ray, this might be the worst idea you've ever had.
Why?
I'm not fighting you. I don't want to murder you. I can't murder you. I need you.
You think you can murder me? I got you, son.
This was obvious. It was obvious that I would destroy you.
No.
So we can't have...
I'm lighter. I'm fast. I'm faster.
The biggest thing is I said this multiple times. I'm not taking any more hits to the head.
Well, then I would just take that big, nice little stomach of yours that you got.
No, I have too
over
much
your
padding,
underwear.
man. Too much padding. You can't get to it.
Oh, I'll be able to, just on the inside. Just, I'm telling you, bro.
The biggest thing is that I don't want to get hit in the head again, any way, shape, or form. I don't even want to take a head to a car door again because I feel like that will have permanent damage at this point.
How about a jiu-jitsu competition?
That may happen. We could get that done. Maybe
I
haven't worked out in so long. I'd have to start again because right now I just would fall asleep on you or vomit on you. But maybe if I start, I'd have to lose some weight first because I'm in terrible shape. But maybe someday.
If any promoter ever listens to this and wants a specialty match, I'm definitely in for anything. When it comes to combat sports, anybody that wants to fight me, anybody that wants to, from other podcasts, preferably that way, not some schlub off the street. I'd rather not have some psychopath going, I want to box you. Yeah, because you're going to actually try and hurt me. Go fuck yourself. But any podcasts out there that want to have open challenges, I accept. Let's party. Set the location. Give me a location. I want the location. Send it now. I'll be there. I'll make sure you pay. I smash you. Like I did Dana White.
Do me a favor and hit Ray so hard that he stops doing that accent.
What? You don't like my
out of his face. Yeah.
If he chokes out, he chokes out. That's how I look at life.
If he does, he does.
Nice.
Right.
But no, yeah, I'm open challenge to any other combat sports podcast. Let's get this going.
Well, that's on Ray.
Absolutely. I'll train.
Okay. I'll be there taking bets. Against Ray, most likely.
Yeah, please do.
All right. So
yeah.
The rest of this card, let's go down there. The O'Malley fight.
The O'Malley fight was interesting because of the injury to me. Like that was the big selling point of that match, of any part of that highlight has to be the fact that once again, Sean O'Malley's ankle has given out. This is the second time that it's happened. First time it turned into rainbows for him because that was the fight where the guy went to the ground with him and he was able to get on top and start smacking him around, doing everything he had to. This one, though, man, Marlon Vera is a psychopath when it comes to his kicks. He is a fucking monster. Like, I was scared every time he threw any kind of kick at Sean because I felt like he was going to connect and put something off, and he wound up doing that with his ankle. What do you think?
Well, I think a lot of this may have had something to do with what Sean was doing with his leg kicks. He was throwing so heavy. Yeah. That's kind of what happened the first time, too. He's not throwing smart, man. He's throwing like a crazy person. And when you throw really hard with your leg kicks all the time, there's a pretty good chance that you could hurt yourself, especially when you have in the past.
Yes.
I don't know. Chito Vera looked fantastic in this fight.
He did.
Look, Ray, I got it. I got a good one right. I called it. I called it.
Got that underdog, son. When I honestly, until it was over and like I really noticed what happened, I had to see I saw it many times in different groups and stuff on Facebook and online of that finish. I didn't even know that he had really hurt his ankle until he like sat down. Like that was it.
You didn't see that break dance move he did?
No.
He did. You could see something was going on. He did a weird like terrible Mr. Roboto dance kind of thing because it gets like hurt.
Yeah. Well, at the time I didn't. When I watched the highlight, I did see the ankle buckle, and it did suck because even Vera backed up a little bit and was like, "I got you." Like it was kind of. It was. I always like when that happens in fights because it's when you have that gotcha moment, even like for an injury. Sometimes it's so quick you miss it, and then when you see a guy just stand there, you're like, "Why is he doing it?" And they're like, oh, yeah, his ankle is in a million pieces.
Didn't he point to the ref at one point? It's just kind of like, hey, something's going on.
That's when he stepped back and kind of went like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good on him.
Yeah.
For that, I guess. But, man, no, Vera looked fantastic. He's a beast. He's going to get some really great fights coming up. Like we said before, I don't think he lost that last fight he lost. It was a decision. It was close. And I think he won the fight. So besides that, he's won like 6 or 7 in a row. I think he's going to get, maybe like Jimmy Rivera, maybe Ray Borg, one of those guys. But Ray Borg's the bantamweight.
Great fight for Cheetah.
Right? Yeah. What else was I gonna say? Oh, O'Malley. I hope he's gonna be okay. I mean, this is the second time. He's 25. This is the second time he's had a serious injury on that leg. And he said the one thing I did hear he said was that he thinks it's the same injury. So if it's the same thing, that's not good, man. Because this is a guy who's great. He has a lot of hype. He's really fun. In and out of the cage, he's a lot of fun. He's good for the league. He's good for the sport. If he can't fight, man, for a while or possibly ever, you don't know. This keeps happening. That's a big deal. He's going to have to change his fighting style a bit, obviously, right? I don't know. Talk to guys who have gone through it before, like Dominic Cruz and whatnot.
And I mean, even with an ankle, sorry about that.
No, you're good.
It is the second time, and you have to think now too that his not only does his fight stock go down, but his perception stock has to really be kind of dog shit at this point with two of the same injury on the same foot with Dana and Sean Shelby. I mean, if you were really, you don't think I saw you give that fake?
No, because I mean, when he says he's ready to go, they'll be like, okay, cool. We're going to give you another top 15 fight. I'm sure.
I get that part, but again, do you really want to chance that with a two-time ankle injury?
What do you mean? Are they not going to fight him? Is that what you're saying?
No. I'm not putting up against like softer targets. Somebody or like fighting.
They don't really do that. They don't really do that ever.
I'm aware.
When Velasquez came back, they gave him Nagano. And he was destroyed, right?
Yeah.
So no, they don't do that. So no, I don't think so at all.
And that's one thing I don't like about UFC anymore, or like UFC is like they don't have those moments for like they give fighters to the wolves right after injury. And yes, there's been a lot of times
they have more fighters. They have more fighters, Ray.
That is true. This is very true.
And there's more tough guys waiting in the wings that would love to take their spot. They have guys.
Yeah. Do they?
Yes.
Okay.
We've talked to them before, and we're going to talk to more of them.
Yes. We have some big interviews coming up, and actually I put in for a few more on my end, and we have some fighters that Tim is setting up as well. For those go up on Saturdays, or those will be recorded on Saturdays, go up on Monday. Our schedule tentatively is on all of our streaming profiles that we have: Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We might be on Apple Podcasts. I haven't looked.
I don't think we are. But we're on other things. We try to get the YouTube up as much as possible because that's the one definitely that gets the most hits.
Going to be setting up an OnlyFans account for Naked Wrestling. That's going to be a fun time.
You know what? Ray and I will fight on OnlyFans. That's the only time we'll do. We'll fight on OnlyFans.
Live stream on OnlyFans, $1 a minute, and every time $10 is donated, clothes go off. That's going to be how we do this, folks. It's going to be.
I like it.
Yes. Then oil at 100. Oil wrestling at 100 subscribers. We will oil wrestle at 100 subscribers.
Come to New Philly. The thing is, like, we're saying this in a joking manner, but the truth is, both of us would do this. Like, if we knew we'd get money out of it, we would do it, which says a lot about us. Which doesn't say anything good, but it says a lot.
I've always said about myself, I would have been a perfect fighter or professional wrestler in the 70s or the 80s because of how Wild West it was, and you just got paid to do the dumbest things, especially in pro wrestling, because you'd have guys getting their faces smashed into cakes in Louisiana, and you're just like, oh yeah, I made $1,500 that day. It's a good time.
Wasn't every sport's Wild West era its most hilarious era?
Oh, my God.
We talked about this with the amateur fights in Ohio. There's a time that it was really wacky, and it was hilarious, and I miss it because of that, because it was hilarious.
I'm trying to think. Early or late 2000s, pro wrestling in Ohio was, just insane, and you had dudes just, every match, at least one match each, monthly show had to have somebody just bleeding like they went through a razor blade factory. You're just like, what the hell? Why are we here? Why are there tacks everywhere? This looks like my aunt's art space. Why is this going like this? Murder scenes. But yeah, I miss old school shit for Ohio sports, because there was a lot of times for different sports in this country where just you were like, I get to do what with what? This is awesome. I miss those days. Stupid regulations.
I've also heard that the Athletic Commission in Ohio has put a plan in place to have events. However,
Yeah.
the plan does not involve spectators.
Yeah.
So from what I'm hearing is no local promotions really
No.
chopping at the bit, really. As we said before, like what would it make sense for them to try to have a card when they can't have ticket sales at a gate?
Yeah.
Probably not. So probably not going to happen for a while.
I actually just saw Mike DeWine at the time of this on the 18th of August. Just reopened high school sports for the high schools, and it's going to be family, close family, and it's like limited the amount of people that they'll have at the games, but they're allowed to have full and non-contact games, which will kind of be the litmus test in my opinion.
It will be.
It's you have to have this. This is how we can definitely decide what to do with pro stuff. I mean, you just said it, pro MMA, there's really nothing going on in the state of Ohio. I know that like states like Kentucky are doing things, I believe. Indiana's doing pro wrestling things outdoors now.
I think one of the big factors in whether or not sports will be able to continue for high schools in Ohio is how many tests they're going to be doing.
Yeah.
I feel like they're still going to get a lot of positives. How many symptoms you see, I don't know. But the thing is, if they just don't test anyone, it might not seem too bad.
No, I think this is going to be basically let's just see what
Which
happens.
I don't think is the
tests.
best idea, but right.
Yeah, I think and it's going to be, that is a bad idea. It's a terrible idea. Not test these kids.
For sure. There is a racetrack by me called Midville Speedway.
Yeah.
It's like a stock car track. It's down the road from me. They just sued the state and won, actually.
Okay.
To have fans.
Okay.
Yeah, they told them they
did that at the beginning. Painesville Motor Speedway up here near me did that whole thing of they kind of opened it up during the pandemic. I think it was during June. Mm-hmm. And then they closed. I don't know if they're still running, but they just opened up after the restrictions were taken off.
Yeah, the state said you could do races with no fans, and they sued and they won. But apparently it's limited capacity. They want everyone to spread out, and they want everyone to wear masks.
Yeah. I mean, it could, at least they're, and hopefully they are. I mean, that one place, where was it? I think it was Florida. They had like a dog track or like a race track where it was sold out and everybody was not social distance.
Yeah. I mean, this is not really fair to say, really, but I'm going to say it anyway. But I think if there's any place I would think people would be like, screw you, I'm not going to wear my mask. I can do what I want. Very possibly would be the semi-pro stock car races.
Yeah. I mean,
don't ask me why, but I would probably
those
have
red, white, and
gas.
blue flags that are not American probably will tell you already, my friend.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
I don't know. I look at this whole pandemic, and this will be the most political shit I ever talk about.
Don't do it.
No, I'm just gonna. There's been photos that have surfaced of during the 1919 pandemic and the 1920 pandemic of people going to like college football games and wearing masks. Like they were wearing masks, but they were playing during this pandemic. During that pandemic.
Yeah, they had a big uptick though when they started doing shit.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's kind of like, what are you gonna do? It's kind of where we're at as a society.
Here's the thing, man. I feel worse for high school kids because they can't have an extra year of eligibility, right? It doesn't work like that for them.
Yeah.
College, it does, right? If you don't play, you don't lose a year of eligibility. At least I believe so. What was I going to say? Besides that, I love football, but I can live without it for a year. I mean, we'll be okay. You know, it just, you know.
No, I'm not. I don't
also,
care about
next year,
football.
I don't think everything's going to be normal next year either. When baseball season starts next spring, do I think everything's going to be normal again? No, I don't think. I think maybe, if anything, we can have limited crowds, like maybe half capacity.
Yeah.
Maybe. Speaking of baseball, right?
Ooh.
My Cleveland Indians and your Pittsburgh Pirates start a series tonight.
I know. I'm actually I don't know if you do the Super Six for Fox Sports.
No.
I actually have the Indians winning that game.
Well, I was just going to ask you, as Indians fan talking to a Pirates fan, could you just ask your guys just to get out of our way? Like, you guys are just a nuisance. What are you, like 4-20 or something? Like
4-16, 4-17. Yeah.
All right. The Indians are trying to make the playoffs. Can you just get out of our way? We don't need to get anybody hurt against you guys or anything like that.
You know what? At least let us play, sir. We missed an entire week because St. Louis decided to get Rona. All right.
Fine. Just don't. Don't try to steal too many bases, get our catcher hurt. Don't try to, don't swing on 3-0 pitches like Fernando Tatis Jr.
Man, it's hard being a Pirates fan. It's hard to be a Pittsburgh Pirates fan, but I do it every.
It's been hard to be an Indians
year.
fan for a long time too. So
well, at least you guys go to World Series and have above 500 seasons.
But we talk about. 10 years ago, we had many seasons we were just awful. And the thing is, our window's closing. We're a small market team, so we have windows. And our window's about to close. We have 1 or 2 more years, maybe 3. After that, we're in full Detroit Tigers rebuild mode, and we're going to suck for a while. So
straight up Houston Astros rebuild without the cheating.
Yeah, pretty much. It's happened before. It's going to happen again. That's how the Indians work.
Do you ever root against teams –
like Houston Astros, yes, now always.
But before this, I hate watched, and I'm an old school Houston Astros fan from the Bagwell, Biggio, and Bell days. And to see that legacy tarnished by those Jagamuffins, I can't. To me, even as a Houston Astros fan, I don't think I've ever talked about it on a podcast outside of therapy. I've never really talked about it. And it's like, dude, it sucks because that was like, I cried that day. Like, I cried when Stipe Miocic won the fucking title the first time. I was there and happy and joyous when he won at the Q. But I lived in Houston for the longest time. The Houston Astros were always one of my teams. They finally went to the AL. And what do? They cheat to win a World Series. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? We sucked when we moved to the AL West. We sucked. And to do that, you're like, fuck you. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, but the thing is, they won.
I don't.
They're not going to take it away from them.
It's like the.
I'm not condoning it because I'm pissed at them too. But I guess that's what they would say. I guess.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
What? Something else I was going to say about that. I already forgot.
Radio on Bro Plata.
Always. Oh, there's a video on. It's still on my Facebook. You can find it. When the Indians were playing Toronto in the 2016 ALCS.
Yeah.
And they were 1 out away. I asked my mother to take my phone and record me. And after they got that last out, when whoever it was who's batting flew out in foul territory to Carlos Santana, I started bawling. And the video's still on Facebook. I'm bawling, and we made it to the World Series. And I have no shame in it. Obviously, because I put it on Facebook and it's still there. So I have no shame.
We'll actually put that on the Go Plata Facebook. You can go to that, or Go Plata, Bro Plata Facebook. That is at Bro Plata across everything for social media. I remember crying and bawling when the Pirates beat the Cincinnati Reds to go to the playoffs for the first time in like 13 years. The girl I was dating when I first started doing comedy watched me have a mental breakdown because she had never seen somebody cry during a baseball game. And I was like, I've been a fan since it was like 1996. I've been a Pirates fan. And to finally watch them go to the playoffs after years of a shitty team, they finally do it, and then they just get swept by the St. Louis Cardinals.
It isn't a great tornado of emotions we put ourselves through, being invested in something so much that we have no control over.
Yeah,
like sports. It's one of the great things about it.
Yeah, and I cried when the Penguins won 4 Stanley Cups. Like when they won back to 3 Stanley Cups. No, 4 Stanley Cups since 2009. And it's like we went back to back. And then we did in 2009. So yeah, 3. But it's still like I cried during the 2009 one because I wasn't alive or present mentally for the first 2. It was like 91, 92, and my dad cried. And then my dad cried again in 09. And then I cried in 15 or 16 and 17 because, oh my God, we won the Stanley Cup. Yay!
Mhm.
It's fun, man. Everybody should have that. If you don't get emotional watching sports, you're not a human. Like, I can watch tiddlywinks. Even esports sometimes get me where I'm like, yes.
Well, that hasn't happened to me yet, but
Yeah, you're not into the esports?
no, I have nothing against it.
Ah,
Nothing against it, just isn't my thing.
I like to watch, like, get really high and watch Rocket League. Like, if I like go on Twitch and watch like Rocket League fighting. Oh, and by the way, speaking of fighting games, have you gotten a chance to play EA4 more?
Yeah,
Okay.
a bit. I mean, I think this is a game I'm going to get pretty bored of pretty quick, to be honest with you.
I disagree with that storyline.
Yeah, well, I also told you that I haven't really gotten to one of these games in a while, so this is probably why. I don't know if I really like them that much. I was excited to get this one, but then I'm a little underwhelmed. I'm not done playing it, obviously.
Yeah.
I've only played a handful of times, but it's okay.
And we'll discuss more of it we'll discuss more of UFC 4 as we play it, because the more I'm starting to like, the modes are fun to play. The event mode, in my opinion, was a little buggy when I played it, because me and my buddy John made a UFC event with like all the guys that they had on there that are legends and stuff like that. Really got to know, and that's what also I like, getting to know the game. The fact that it just immediately throws you into career mode as a tutorial is fantastic. I think that's cool. A great way to learn the game, rather than kind of what they did in UFC 2 with Connor, like doing that whole like fight between him and Diaz and you kind of learn things. I like that. It's okay, but it's not to me, it's not what I want. I want like something where it's like it opens up. This is your story. And then boom, we go right in and you learn that way. Like a lot of games, COD, Call of Duty, we've had that our whole lives. You go through a training mode before you go to the actual story mode, or you go to the online portion, which I'm not going online ever. FYI, nobody will ever catch me online for a UFC game, because every time you get good or you get a guy who sucks, they always rage quit. I'm not an online gamer at all, unless it's like GTA. I'm a GTA online guy. I loves me some of that.
I play baseball online, but I get destroyed constantly. But I know what's going to happen. I like to play. Yeah. My record is like 30-50 or something like that.
You should see me and my buddy John's character in GTA Online. Our racing record looks like something out of like Pride Fighting Championship days, where it's like a record of 100 and 200. You're like, what the hell? We've lost more, but as we've gotten better and started spending money, you get better just because you earn new shit. And but I like the UFC game. Some of the unlockables are fucking outrageous. We have our guy right now that we have. He he has Chinese lettering with like a what do you call it? I forget, like a purple color, but the Chinese lettering and everything is in gold, and it says warning across, and it just flashes that way. We have, I think, Dalmatian fight or practice shorts on him. So that's the fun part. Whatever you dress your guy into, that's what shows up on the actual, like, the tail of the tape gimmick. You still have to walk out in like the normal crap that, for the actual career mode. But they've added finally the Von Flu or the Von Prue choke is in there. I think they've got a couple other things. One of my favorite things you can do, bringing up Sean O'Malley, he teaches you the crane kick on your character. Like, you can actually learn the crane, like the crane kick from Sean O'Malley in that. And we use that a few times in career mode. My buddies, the submissions, by the way, have you done the submission system yet or anything like that? Have you learned that? What do you think about that?
I like the chokes better than I like the arm bars. The arm bar, like the going with the L2, L2, R2, it's pain in the ass for me. I like using the stick better, but it's okay. It's kind of like EA Sports MMA, right? What they
Yeah.
used to do.
Yeah, that's
So
exactly what I thought. And I like that about that.
yeah, I like it too. Which is the first MMA game EA did. I don't like in career mode. I don't like doing all the cam stuff. I don't have patience for it. I just want to fight.
I love it, dude, because you learn these things, you kind of learn the ins and outs, and I know it's not realistic training, but it kind of makes you think about, and UFC 3 did this, but I think UFC 4 has a better system for it because you can make connections with guys, drop the training price down because a lot of guys are like hundreds of thousands of dollars. You can pay like 10,000 to like Conor McGregor if he likes you. I like that kind of stuff. I'm not saying that's the actual price or whatever, but it was definitely I like the mini games too. I like the fact that they went back to the old fight night hitting the punching bag mechanic where you build up your guy by doing kicks and punches and all that kind of stuff, moving around, slipping and sliding and stuff. The controls are a little weird for some of the striking. I will say that. I don't like uppercut. Uppercut is either one. You have to press two buttons at the same time.
Yeah, two buttons at once. That's weird because I've never had to do that in any game before.
No.
That I've played. I'm like, that's weird. I mean, it's not that difficult, but it's weird. I haven't done it before.
And some of the button combinations are kind of like wacky. The one that I definitely didn't like was the leaping front punch. You have to like press L and then like Y and X together at the same time to get him to like lunge forward. And you're like, why can't I just press like RB? If you're playing on like, I'm playing on Xbox 360, so it's
okay.
RB.
I'm playing on PS4. So.
Yeah, and did you also here's something else that's going to kind of piss some people off in gaming circles? UFC 4 will not be will not be a title on UFC or PlayStation 5 or the Series 1X. They're not bringing it. They're not updating anything. They're basically just like, here we are. You can, and then backwards compatibility will give it a boost.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. I'm not going to get a PS5 for probably several years.
No, yeah. I'm waiting for the price to go down massively.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, my PS4 I've had for maybe 3 years now. So, but how long has it been out? A while. And so
5-6 years. Yeah.
So
it's about ending of the cycle time. So
that doesn't really bother me too much. I wasn't super impressed with the graphics either. I don't know what they look like on Xbox, but they don't look great. They're okay.
I will say the most realistic character model, for some reason, somebody at EA has a massive nerd boner every time he comes on the screen. I think my friend John's girlfriend Casey may have been involved in the development of EA's UFC 4 because Herb Dean looks really realistic in this game. Like shockingly realistic. I was like, did they just like copy and paste a photo onto like of Herb Dean, like a photorealistic picture, and just went, here's Herb Dean? Because Dan Miragliotta doesn't look like Dan Miragliotta. He looks like a cartoon version they all look like kind of cartoon versions of themselves, except for Herb Dean. I don't know why. I was scared when I saw Herb Dean. I'm like, that is the greatest mocap I've ever seen in my life of Herb Dean. It was crazy to see it. Like, if you go look at it now, folks, if you look at a picture of Herb Dean UFC 4, you're like, no, that's a photo of Herb Dean. Like, that's a photo of Herb Dean. That's not a computer rendering. That's Herb Dean in the game. How did he get into Tron level shit on my video game?
You know, Dana White being a playable character is hilarious.
In like 3 weight divisions.
Yeah. I want that to happen in more games. I want like Rob Manfred to be a playable character, like a free agent you can put on. I want Adam Silver to be a point guard you can sign on your team.
Yes, they used to do those back in the day for UFC games.
If you would have had can you imagine Madden if you could play Roger Goodell at quarterback? There'd just be videos on Twitch of like these players playing and just sacking Roger Goodell.
I was always a big fan of like creating your own guy, like, because I played the wrestling game, so you can basically create whoever you want. Yeah, I would put like Big John McCarthy in the WWF in like 2001. Did you play those? Did you play those old school UFC games on like PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2?
I think I played Undisputed.
Oh, okay. So you didn't do the old THQ games before they did the full graphical upgrades and
Like
all
what?
that kind of
Like
stuff?
the tap out games was
Yeah.
that what they were called? No, I didn't play
UFC
those.
tap out and all that. What I love and I miss this stuff, and Dana White being in this game is awesome. I think they missed a huge thing by not also including like Anik in the 145 division. I don't know how much John Anik weighs, but like they should have. And back in the day, they used to have a thing where you would play as I believe it was Big John McCarthy was one of them. You could play as Bruce Buffer in a suit, which is always a good thing. Bruce Buffer, it was Bruce Buffer's like what they could do at the time, but they had him in the suit, no like spats or anything, and he had his gloves on, and you could fight people as Bruce Buffer in a suit. It was epic. I'm trying to think of. I think it was UFC Tap Out was that game that you could do that, and you could play as Big John McCarthy. I think Lorenzo Fertitta or one of those was also an unlockable character. This is when like Tim Sylvia was still heavyweight champion. That's how far back this video game goes. Andre Arlovsky still had like the mutton chops and his like fanged mouthpiece and all that kind of stuff. But you could play as like Big John McCarthy, and they introduced him as Big John McCarthy. And you're like, yes, I love it. And of course, you have to make him the heavyweight champion. Of course, if he's already there, why not make the referee the champion? I'm going to totally Vince Russo book this shit. Make the referee a champion.
You remember Ready to Rumble boxing on PlayStation?
I certainly do, sir. Oh, I loved those games.
Was it one of them? Like if you go through the gauntlet and you beat everybody, Michael Buffer turns into like the Hulk. He rips his suit off and he's just, he gets like 10 times bigger and he's huge. And you get to fight Michael Buffer.
Oh my god, I love those games. I miss also
those are fun.
I miss like Clay Fighters as well. If you remember Clay Fighters on like the Super Nintendo, because I like weird, outlandish. Like I like real.
That's what we need now. We need an MMA indie game, like a wacky MMA cartoonish indie game. It'd be fun.
I think there might be outside of maybe. I don't think there's anything really in development at this point. There should be for sure. I'm trying to fix my background there, but it's trying to think. There's been. Yeah, there really hasn't been an independent game made outside of EA MMA. I don't think there's ever. And Pride, you had the Pride video game in like 2003. That was an interesting one. And then also for I think it was early PlayStation 2. K1 had a video game that they did that was very rudimentary, very low grade graphics. But have you ever like seen like footage from the K1 game?
No.
It's definitely early like PlayStation 2 where it's still kind of blocky arms, blocky legs, and you can make out a person's face a little bit because it's basically just laid over the character like in Tony Hawk. You know, in Tony Hawk's Underground, you could do that and like put yourself in the game. They basically did that for all the fighters. I think Mirko Krokop was in that game. Mark Hunt was definitely in that game. Trying to think. There was a bunch of kickboxers. I think Maurice Smith was in that game as well. But I love that's where I really got my love of like combat sports was playing video games. Because I'd see something at like Hollywood Video and be like, oh, new UFC game's out. Let's see what this is about. And if I wanted to buy it, I'd wait for it to go on sale. That's all I would do. I would go from there.
Hollywood Video, man, I miss the video store. I know it's not. It wouldn't make any sense for them to actually exist anymore. But yeah, I still miss them.
I loved those. There was nothing better than like a Friday after school, ride your bike up there, rent like UFC 75 or whatever it would be, or like UFC 12 because they had they had it in the sports section, and then pick up like a video game for like 99 cents because you had a coupon that day, and you're like, yes, I'm going to get some violence in my life. Because I used to rent from Hollywood Video and Blockbuster old wrestling and MMA videos from like any organization they had. I loved it, man. It was so. I never went to Blockbuster. I wasn't a big Blockbuster guy. I was a Hollywood Video guy for sure.
Where the Blockbuster was in New Philadelphia, it's now the GameStop. Fun fact.
Really?
Yeah, and I was there yesterday getting that game.
Yeah.
Which apparently it was just luck that they happened to have a copy, because apparently they were only getting shipped what is reserved.
Really?
And someone canceled their reserved copy, so I bought it. So
excellent. That's actually
like, okay. I probably could have found it somewhere else, or I would have got it online and waited a couple of days. So it would have been fine. But
yeah, or you just download it off the actual store.
I could do that too. I like having the copy because sometimes I take it to my brothers and I'll whatever.
Yeah, my buddy got a physical copy as well. I don't own it. I want to, just for a collector's standpoint. I do hate the fact that you can't. This is something we'll end on this conversation, because honestly, I like talking video games as well. But there's something about the new UFC 4 game that I don't like, and it's the ability of like not being able to unlock things. You know what I'm saying? You have to kind of buy the Kumite arena for Bruce Lee. I think that's like $20. And it includes Bruce, but meh. But then the backyard thing is like $10 on the App Store. And I'm like, why would you want that? Why? Why would you sell it that differently? Just let me unlock it in career mode, please. We need more unlockables now in video games. We have nothing to do.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, Tyson and Joshua are on there. I don't want to pay for them. Do you have to pay for them? I don't know.
If you pre-ordered.
Which I didn't.
Yeah, if you pre-ordered it, they're free. I think they're actually free right now just for anybody.
Oh, then I'll check, because
on the App Store.
All right, I'll look.
I'm kind of excited to find. I have not watched the entrance yet for Tyson Fury, but I can't wait to see what that looks like, because it's gonna be awesome to see like John Anik talk about Tyson Fury, like walking to the ring with Daniel Cormier, and then Anthony Joshua as well, which I'm looking forward to that one, man. That's going to be a great heavyweight title fight when Deontay Wilder gets taken care of for the third time.
Yeah, in 6 years when they finally get this thing done. Yeah, that's how boxing works.
Yeah, I was about to say, progress is painful and slow in boxing. That's the one thing I don't like.
You know, one thing that I did like to do on UFC 4 that it's ridiculous and it's silly, but it makes me laugh, is that you can have anyone fight anyone. You can do open weight. Yeah. So I did Tim Elliott versus Stefan Struve, and that made me laugh.
I'd like to see that in the backyard cage. That would be kind of funny to watch them in like backyard cage fighting. Stefan Struve, or have him versus like Vanderlei Silva in a backyard. That would be fun. Well, guys, much like a lot of things in our lives, we've lost steam. So it is time for all of us to say goodbye to you. Tim Danko, tell them where they can see your pretty face on the internet.
Dig Danko, at Dig Danko on Instagram and Twitter. Tim Danko on Facebook. Tim Danko Comedy on YouTube, I think. Yeah, and Bro Plata.
Bro Plata. I'm Ray Hyclak. You can catch me at Ray Hyclak. I will be I'm developing something in my for myself as well, alongside of the Bro Plata. I'll be pimping that soon. Also want to give a quick shout out to the Brown Petri Dish. Those guys had me on a couple days ago. Actually, they had me on Saturday. It's called the Brown Petri Dish with John Brown and Brandon Petrie. They talk politics. They talk a bunch of other stuff, comedy mostly. So you can see me on that Anchor Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Go check them out, support them. And you can check us out, or you can check myself out at Ray Hyclak across the board. Follow Bro Plata at Bro Plata on everything, Facebook, social media, Instagram and Twitter. Those are where we're at right now. You can come and just chat with us and we will be there. Also, go subscribe to our YouTube page. We have some lovely interviews up there. I'm working on getting some other interviews, or our final interview that we have saved right now is Eric Posen. That'll be up within the next couple weeks. But we right now have Andrew Law and Master Ken. So go check those out. For Tim Danko, I'm Ray Hyclak. Thank you guys for watching another episode of the Bro Plata. Listen to the podcast wherever you get it. And we will tell you always that the fight is on and we do not care. Take us to the Kumite now.